This is an improbable story at best. We came back last fall and we knew that certain guys were not going to end up playing that we had projected to play. And we had high hopes for the year, and then it looked very different than what we had planned. What we didn't know is that the character of the entire team, all 13 players, including injured guys, was of a very high quality, and their commitment was apparent from the beginning, that they were interested in learning, committed to learning, wanted to be in first-class shape. We're willing to do the extras. We probably talked about this 1% marginal gain that we tried to get in each of a number of different categories. So we didn't know that that was in their DNA at that point. As we went through the season, we found out that they weren't easily discouraged despite early losses, and they continued to learn. So their capacity to grow from each experience, win it or lose it, was significant.
I would say that the season was divided really into two parts. As we went into the ECACs, which was in February, and then in spring break, there was a lot of injuries. There were people coming back from injuries, and we were really trying to sort ourselves out as a team. The identity wasn't clear yet of what we were going to be this year.
Losing to Iowa, scraping out a win against San Diego State, and then losing to Drake in an absolute heartbreaker on the third day was something that we all really had to reflect on and say, okay, like, what do we need to do different?
To get a couple discouraging losses, just by a hair, you're trying to stay positive and try to stay focused on each particular person's game and their own development, and not get sidetracked into making a bigger narrative out of it.
Trust the process, chant erupts. Crims clinch the doubles point.
That phrase is probably like the hallmark, the signature for our team this year. It's kind of started off as something that I think one of the coaches said in a meeting, because everyone was really bummed out that we were doing things right, but it was always just a few points at a time that we were slipping up on, and wins weren't coming our way because of that, and people were kind of getting down, and the coaches kept on saying, you have to trust this process. Like, you got to stick to what your game plan is and what you imagine your game will take you.
Even though we didn't get many wins in the beginning of the season, we knew that we were working towards that goal of winning the Ivy Championship. And even though we went in, I think, 7th going into Ivies, we did feel we'd progressed quite a lot throughout the year. So I think trust the process is kind of symbolic of that.
It really helped us sort of just keep our blinders on, pay attention to our work, and that was, I think, a real saving grace. I mean, that closeness, of the team also helps when they're not pointing fingers when things aren't going our way, and they just kept doubling down on their work ethic.
The guys really caught on to it. I think Grant was key in making it more than just something the coaches said. He would yell it in practices. It became this sort of running joke, and whenever anything happened, you'd yell, trust the process, or trust it, and it took on a life of its own, for sure.
I think towards conference season, because we put in so much hard work throughout the season, we started picking up our game, and we started to understand, we started to complement each other in doubles. We know what kind of game plan we have to basically implement in order to play our own game, no matter who the opponent on the other side was. We found a better part of our game. We knew what we had to do in order to not win, but to play your own tennis. And eventually, we were rewarded by the results.
That was incredible. I think a lot of the guys needed that. For the seniors, I'm sure it was therapeutic. It's just been a long time coming, and Columbia in recent years has been really just taking it to all the Ivies. And I'd always felt like we deserved that win last year, and it was a controversial sort of way that it played out. But at the end of the day, you know, the ball doesn't lie, and they won that match. So I felt that this year was really like our time to prove what we couldn't do last year, and I think everyone else shared that.
It's been a long time coming. Hashtag Pure Bliss. Hashtag Ivy Champs.
I think it's amazing. Andrew actually told me a statistic that since a certain time in the 80s, every player in a class has had a chance to participate in an Ivy championship. And these guys got it by the skin of their chinny chin chins, which is really wonderful. And so we feel wonderful for the seniors who had a chance to experience that excitement. And I've never seen a team more excited at winning a share of the title than this team, and deservedly so.
Pushing through in that last weekend and coming out on top, going into the Ivies, 7th out of 8, was remarkable. I mean, I've never been a part of like a season like that where things just like don't go your way. And in all respects, just things were not going our way. And then for it to be able to end like that was just poetic justice. It really was.
The team helped each other a lot. This was probably in these 4 years the closest team I've ever been in, a part of. We have this writing assignment from Lorenzo, our mental coach. And there's a part where I talk about one thing I'm grateful of every day when I write down my diary entry. And I would say 70 to 80% of the times I would write, I'm grateful for the support I got from the team, or I'm happy that these guys are the people I'm fighting with on the court. And yeah, I think this was also one of the key elements that pushed all of us as a team together and to gain this title. And yeah, basically.
That's great.